I'd start a business by the time I was 20 where I could lose all my money. I turned to a friend of mine in university and was like, hey man, I got to start a business in 3 days. And he's like, well, I worked for this painting company last summer. It seemed really easy. Seemed like the guy just made a ton of money. You should just do that. At that point, I had no other options. I said, I don't know, man. Like, I got to get out of this thing. I wanted to make a change. And so I just flipped a coin one day.
And what's the annual revenue of the company at this stage?
We're probably in the 7.5 range. And I think if you're early stage, stay the course, you'll only learn more the more doors you open. There's still a lot that I do that's kind of driven by hate and by spite for this industry. Sometimes feel like we don't deserve nice things, or we don't deserve the respect that other businesses get, you know? And the reason I say that is because...
Welcome to the Painting Business Pro Show. Today I've got a really, really special guest. Loved this conversation with John Bryant. He's actually the founder of Paint Scout. The reason I had him on the show was not really to talk about Paint Scout. It was actually to talk about his painting company. So he's less known for the $7.5 million painting business that he's built. It's an entirely employee model, and he operates it in Calgary, Canada, which has a ton of seasonality. So in this episode, we dive into how he got into the painting business, how he's grown it so successfully to have a team that runs everything. I love the conversation with John. I think he's a great guy, and there's a lot of really great lessons to learn from this. So I hope you enjoy my conversation with John Bryant as much as I did. Let's get to it. All right, so I want to welcome a very special guest to the Painting Business Pro Show, which is John Bryant. And some of you may know John, maybe you don't know John, but he's the founder of Paint Scout. But that's not what we're really going to be digging into today. So we're going to dig a lot into his actual painting company. So John, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks, Eric. Long time coming. I'm so happy to be here. And I hope that whatever we chat about is really deeply personal and maybe makes me uncomfortable. So
I'll do my best.
Go. Okay.
Yeah, I won't hold back. All
Please.
right. So before we started, I actually don't know much except that you're in a painting company. So why don't you start off there? And a lot of people may not even know this. It was actually almost news to me. I was like, oh, I actually didn't even know that. And you said you haven't shared about that much. So can you just give me some background? Why don't we start with like just the highlight reel? Like where's that business now? Where are you based out of? How's the business doing? And then we can kind of go backwards on that story real quick.
Yeah, sure. So we're based in Calgary, Canada. So like Canada's 5th largest city. We're on the West Coast. And today, we're a team of close to 100 people on that business. Pretty much exclusively employees. And when I say 100, that would be seasonally adjusted. So, it's
Sure.
a peak of the year. And yeah, it's been kind of a wild ride of learning how to operate a professional business and in this space, and something that, at the end of the day, the people here and myself have been proud of, to be able to develop something that's kind of special. So that's where we stand.
And what's the annual revenue of the company at this stage?
That's probably, man, it's such a funny number, hey? Like, and one that we really discussed, but we're probably in the 7.5 range.
Awesome. All right, great. So, just for, kind of an anchor point for people, I think it's worth just saying, hey, John's built like a really great painting company. There's not a lot of people who get it to that level, all employee model. And you've obviously got a seasonal market, being north. So really curious to hear how you manage that. When did you start the business, and how did you end up getting into the painting business in the first place?
Yeah. So I started, 2008 is when officially I started. I started seasonally. I was in university, and my one of the pacts I'd made growing up to myself is that I'd start a business by the time I was 20 where I could lose all my money. Essentially, I wanted to go bankrupt. I thought I saw Donald Trump do it at the time. I was like, "Oh, that seems like the model." Obviously, I've learned a lot since. Like, there's been some new information that's come to light. But I thought if I can go broke early, I'm going to learn a lot of stuff that's going to be helpful in the future. So, true to my
goal, John. I can't say I've talked to anybody who's like, my goal in my first business is go broke. But
that's what I wanted. Yeah,
fail hard and learn. That's beautiful.
exactly.
Man. It's actually probably pretty wise to be like, dude, the harder I fail, the more I'm going to learn. So, anyways,
yeah. So that was my goal, and true to my style, I'm a procrastinator, and so but I hit my goals, like I hit my deadlines, and so 3 days before my 20th birthday, I hadn't started a business, and so I turned to a friend of mine in university and was like, hey man, I got to start a business in 3 days. Like, what what can I do? And he's like, well, I worked for this painting company last summer. Seemed really easy. Seemed like the guy just made a ton of money. You should just do that. And at that point, I had no other options. I was like, that's the best option I got. So I went to the registry and
First idea you heard. You're like the
for
deadline.
the
First
deadline.
idea. All right, I
That's
just got
all.
it. It's
That's
beautiful.
all I got. That's all I got. And so I went to the registry and was like, yeah, sign me up. I'm starting a painting business. Uh, had my 20th birthday, kind of get into it. And I just go to the paint store and I'm like, hey guys, like I hear you have oil and hear you have water. What else do I need to know? And that was my start. It's like I literally knew nothing. I had no support. I just wanted to go broke. And so I borrowed a bit of money, a little bit of money from my dad, and bought a truck and started painting. And if it wasn't for the fact I was living at home, I would have for sure gone broke because
Yeah.
this industry is a little harder than what my friend told me. And a lot of those pains kind of inspired what I do today. So that's how I got into it, and it was seasonal, and everything about the business, made me want to get out. I have a finance degree. I went to school to kind of follow that path, and the painting business wasn't what I envisioned for myself.
Yeah.
There was a bit of ego involved there, and talking to people I went to school with, and so that's how my story played out, is trying to escape and then being pulled back and being pulled back, being pulled back, and here I am
Yeah.
today. Yeah.
Yeah. I was similar. I
Mm.
did the whole college works, college painting thing, for
Yeah.
years, and then started a painting business just so I could not have a real job, and
Mm.
with full intentions of getting out. But it's like it kept going better. So what kept pulling you back in, and how were you trying to get out?
Yeah. So I really I wanted to make a change. Like about 3 years in, I'm like, I want to get out of this thing. Met a guy at a wedding, and he told me about a product he had. It was in the group benefit space. So it was executive health benefits. And so I went to do that, but I kept the painting business going seasonally. Just people would call me and I'd have a sub crew do it. Um, and a couple years into that, the economy wasn't so good. I looked like I was 12 years old going into all these, C-suite meetings, and they're like, "Hey, is your mom let you out early from school to come talk to us?" And I just wasn't getting a lot of the traction I was looking for. And so I wanted to make a change. And what happened during that period of time is the guy I was working with, he had started an app. It was a memorization app. And he thought that he probably looked at me and was like, oh, he's young, so he must know apps. And let's make him the marketing manager because he can figure out how to do this. And boy, was he wrong. Like I had no idea what I was doing. Business goes bankrupt in 6 months. And I flipped a coin. So I got to the end. I was like, should I go into web development or should I do painting? These are the two things I know. I can't decide. And so I just flipped a coin one day. It's like heads painting company, tails software development. When that thing came up heads, I cussed so much, Eric. I was like, this is so, like, I'm trusting the coin. There's no reflip. So I'm going
I
in the
love
painting
it.
business, pulls me back in. And at that point, I just decided, like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it the best of my ability. I'm going to commit to creating something that I'm proud of, that, speaks to the way I like to operate a business, and that there is a way to do this differently in this industry that is actually going to generate the respect I wanted from what we
Yep.
did. So
I love the fate.
yeah,
Leave it up to fate. Little
leave it up to fate.
foreshadowing too for the
No,
later launch of Paint Scout.
yeah,
So
exactly.
that was the moment. The coin was your all in moment.
It was the all in moment. Yeah. So
Wow.
I think over that time, as things were transitioning, I did some life coaching. I talked to these people that would try to help me figure out what to do, and eventually I was just like, I got to make a decision. Like, I think a lot of people sit in that paralysis mode of like, what am I going to do? And I just decided I'm going to commit, give it 3 years, see if I can get some traction, and get the trajectory going to learn something. And that's really the decision I came to. And not everyone's comfortable with the coin flips, but I've done it a bunch of times in my life, and it helps, man. Just getting commitment and getting that off your brain and being like, we're just gonna do this. Like, forget indecision, because indecision I think kills opportunity.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well,
Yeah.
and I mean, part of my all in was the realization of, because I tried a bunch of different things too while I was like running the painting business to exit, and I was like grooming Ben to take over, which he did end up taking over. But uh, business all ends up kind of being the same. It's like you're building a product or service, you're building a team. Like if you're successful, you're ultimately building a team and you're managing people and building product. And I'm like, whatever, dude, I'm just going to do it here. And it
Yeah.
was like that moment of commitment. And then, where it's gone, I wouldn't have ever expected back then, which I'm sure is the same for you.
Mhm. Yeah.
So what year was that you flipped the coin and went all in?
That was 2013.
Okay. Yeah. Same with
Yeah.
me. Perfect. It
Same
was
with you. Yeah.
2013. Yep.
Yeah. 2013. Very,
Awesome.
very similar stories, Eric. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why did you not, why did you want to get out? What was your reasoning?
Similar to you.
Yeah.
In some similarities. Um, when I was selling college kids on doing an internship, like painting is not cool to a college kid. And
Hmm.
so you kind of had to talk down on it, but then like justify it. And then
Right.
there's a culture there of like, we're not teaching you to run a painting business. So you can run a painting business because that's super lame. And then
Hmm.
anyone who left the company and started a painting business was like shunned.
Hmm.
And so it was just not cool. It was not sexy.
Yeah.
To this day, when I tell people I run a painting company, they think I've got a van and ladders and, I'm out there like painting, and I'm like, man, what I built is pretty cool. But it's like, how much time do you got for me to walk you through like everything I really do? So, it was a bit of that, chasing shiny objects, looking for overnight
Yeah.
successes. It was the days of the Profit and Shark Tank and Uber blowing up in Airbnb. There's a lot of hype around like the idea of like this overnight success, and I chased that. And then my painting company doubled every year and it was paying all my bills and I was hardly working on it and I had a great lifestyle. And I'm like, I should probably double down on the thing that's like working so well. It's a
Yeah.
great industry. It's a huge industry. There's little competition. Everyone's fleeing from it who's successful in it. You get successful and you leave. I'm like, I'm just going to do this.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like a couple years into it, once I made the commitment, I went to a conference and like I was talking to this guy at the bar, and he was
Yeah.
a bit of an older guy, and he said, "Hey man, like, tell me what's your business." And I think at the time we did like a million and a half or 2 million, and I was like, "Yeah, we do 1.5 million." And he's like, "How old are you?" I'm like, early 30s," and he's like, Uh, wow, that's incredible. I said, I don't know, man. Like, I got to get out of this thing. Like, I hate the way this industry makes me feel. I hate the fact that I go to parties and, that to your point, like, hey, what do you do? It's like, oh, I run a painting company. And you can just immediately see that, the station wagon
Yeah.
and everything's going through their eyes and you can see it. And so
People look at you, they're like, oh, cool.
that's really nice. Anyways, what do you do? Yeah, that's happened to me so many times. And so this guy, Mike, was like, John, you've got it all wrong. Like this, for me, is one of the best industries in the world. And I'll tell you why. Because everybody has zero expectation of you. And you don't understand that once you do something like, hey, I'm a doctor or lawyer or something shiny, people have expectation. And so when you have zero expectation, you can live your life the way you want to live it. And you don't have to live it to some other people's standards. Now, I know if you're a doctor or lawyer, you can also do that, but it's just a little bit of a different mindset in those sectors. And he said, I'll go on great vacations. My kids go to private school, and I love the life I have, and nobody thinks much of me, and it's the best feeling. And that resonated with me tremendously. That you can do this stuff behind the scenes, and you don't need other people's validation to do it. You just need your own permission. And I felt like that really like allowed me to be like, I can do this and I don't need anyone else to tell me I'm great. Those guys that are all investment bankers, one day they're going to hate the fact they work 80 hours a week and have no options. And they're going to look probably at what we do, Eric, and say like, ooh, that looks like a good opportunity. Meanwhile, we've been creating for, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really inspirational to me. It helped me get over that.
Yeah, it's great, man. When you mentioned earlier that I can't remember if it was before we got on or not, but you
Yeah.
said, kind of my hate, what I despised, what I didn't like about this industry was part of what drove you. What can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So like similar to your experience, like trying to get out, I, so that moment with Mike was really influential for me, whether Mike realized it or not. But
The dude
the
at the bar.
date, yeah, the dude at the bar who was like, "Hey man, like you just got to lean into this. This is great."
Yeah.
But there's still a lot that I do that's kind of driven by hate and by spite for this industry. And the reason that I say that is because I hate what the world sees the industry as. I hate that we've allowed ourselves to be looked down upon, and that as an industry, we have so many people like you and me and people listening who are doing great things, but sometimes feel like we don't deserve nice things or we don't deserve the respect that other other businesses get, Is it better to sell a t-shirt or to sell painting? Somehow there's this mindset in what we do that's like we are lower than, and I hate that. I hate that we feel that way about what we do. And so a lot of what I've done has been to try to build up not only like the experience for myself, but I want to share that with other people and be like, look, there's a way that customers can view you that doesn't have to be the way that the industry has been traditionally viewed or that you view it. Like, let's give ourselves some confidence. Let's give ourselves some self-esteem here that like we do cool things and we're allowed to show that off. And so that's driven a lot of my actions over the years that like why can't a painting company be branded really nice? Why can't, software exist for people to have an awesome experience for their customers and for their staff? Like these are things that we deserve. And so that for me drives a lot of things. Like I don't know if you ever watched Curb Your Enthusiasm. You ever seen that
Yeah,
show,
of
Eric?
course.
Yeah.
Like
Larry,
10 times through.
like
Yeah.
10 times through. Amazing show. And in season 10, I think Larry starts a spite store.
Yeah.
He spites a
Latte Larry's.
latte Larry's, yeah. And and that like I hadn't put all the pieces together till I saw that, but I was like, I think what I'm doing is also like a spite like business against the painting industry. Like not against someone else. It's against this way that I felt.
Yeah.
And it's a weird like weird thing to be like,
Yeah.
oh, that's what drives me is like anger. I'm not
That's
an
so
angry
funny.
person, but deep down I think I just want to change things. So
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, everything you just said, the third, my mission at Painting Business Pro, my ultimate intent is people create freedom, discover what's possible. And the last part is build a company people love.
yeah.
So really resonate on that. It's like, I want to build a company people love. Like the owner loves it. You're proud of what you do. You have dignity in what you do. Your family
Yeah.
loves the business and doesn't resent the business. Your employees and staff love the business. Your subs love your business. Your vendors love your business. Your customers love your business. Like it's an inspiring, beautiful business that
Yes.
serves people, and you love what you're building. So totally resonate with you on that.
I think what you said earlier too about like, you can business is business and why one business is seen as a different thing to people, like that sexiness, I still don't understand. I've tried to like figure that out, like late nights staring at the ceiling of like, why does that exist? But I think it all has to do with the way that, someone like yourself coaches and teaches and the way that we start to change that dialogue about the industry starts to make people feel like, yeah, this is like trades can be respected. This is a great industry, great people do this, and great businesses exist. So I love
Well,
that
and to that point too, it's a vehicle to create a pretty exceptional life.
for sure. Yeah, for lots of people, you
Yeah.
employ people. Work needs to happen, and in this world where AI is going to take our jobs, I don't know if you've seen robots recently, but I don't think they're going to be painting houses anytime soon. So
Said the same thing. It's like it's going to be one of the trickiest trades for robots to do because the nuances and the detail and yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Great, man.
people are going to need more of us. They're going to pay more for it, um, and it's going to be a wonderful thing. So yeah.
Not something, we can take credit for having foresight on, but a
No,
pretty nice coincidence there of how this has played out 12 years later.
absolutely. Yeah. Like if I could take credit for all of the coin flips I've had, like, oh yeah, I totally know his head. Like, why would I even do it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I was basically like, man, these other things kind of suck. This one's working. I'll just do this. You're like,
Yeah,
coin flip. And then it turns out you're like, man, that was a pretty good move. Like a lot of money and private equity and people are like pouring into the trades now. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, I knew.
I knew, totally
Probably.
knew it, totally knew it. Yeah, yeah.
So, before we move into transition, I wanted to dig into just a couple things that are pretty unique about your business.
Sure.
Um, Primarily the seasonality aspect. So, I'm the guy who mostly beats the drum of subcontractors, and one of the biggest benefits I underline is how it helps you with seasonality. Because there's the challenge of like ramping up and then ramping down, and like how do you flatten that demand curve, which you kind of can't. And so there's like these challenges with it. Having said that, I also have a number of clients, and you're a great example of you can build a really great business with employees too. Um, how have you dealt for, I guess, two parts, man. One is why employees, and then the second one we can dig into is how you manage seasonality, and the that demand curve in a northern city.
Mm, yeah. Why? So why employees? I think, when I initially got back into the industry, fully committed, um, one of the things I looked for was just a mentor at the time, and the mentor I had ran a all employee business and kind of showed me the ways to do that. And so I just kind of went with it. I was like, if this guy knows he runs a successful business, I'll just do it this way. And what it's come down to, though, is I feel like one of the core things we're able to do with employees is build a culture in terms of um, there's a bit of an energy when you have more people that are consistently with your business, and that's been really fun. Not to say it's the only right way. Like
Yep.
I think we're moving probably in that business more towards a hybrid
Yep.
model. It makes a lot of sense, and we have great partner crews exist. So I don't think it's the only way, but that's what inspired me. I love people. I love building teams, and that drove me. I think not only what's weird about my personality is that when I have people that work for me, I work my ass off for them. Like when and so having more employees drove more growth. It was kind of a weird chicken and egg where it's like, we got to get the sales. We're going to work really hard to stay busy and keep that going. And that kept me motivated. Now,
Right.
I obviously don't manage that anymore, but uh, that was really, I think, where it came from. And that's kind of the path we took. And like I said, not the right thing for everybody, but that's what we did.
Well, and I think the principle there for anybody is, I look at it like whether you're using employees or subcontractors, it's all people. Like they're all
Yeah,
human beings.
for
And there's a
sure.
lot of amazing human beings out there. And if you are going, one of the misconceptions or mistakes people make with subcontractors is treat them like they're not a part of my business. Like they're
Mhm.
not my partners. They're not my people, because I think that is super important to have
Mm.
people around for a long time and that you're building strong relationships and you're aligned. And so how do you deal with the seasonality? What is that? Have you figured out how to not have it be seasonal? Are you like, what does that look like cyclically for you with that many people you got to try to keep busy? Hey, Eric here. Pretty much every person that you've heard on this podcast or you listen to is someone that we work with at Painting Business Pro. We've coached some of them. We've even become business partners with. What we do at Painting Business Pro is help people who are starting or growing a painting company grow an amazing business with great profit while enjoying an amazing lifestyle along the way. And transparently, our goal is that for the right people, we actually end up making a minority acquisition to help you grow your business even further as a partner of ours in our company. If you're someone who's serious about growing your company, living a great life, and you want some help doing it, we love what we do. We're very good at it. We do it in our own businesses right now. Head over to paintingbusinesspro.com and hit apply now. And we look forward to talking with you soon.
So there's layoffs. That's one thing we set up at the start of every season because seasonality is big here. Like we do
Yeah.
twice as much revenue, almost three times as much revenue, probably in the summer as in
Yep.
March. So that is a reality. Not everyone's keeping their job all year long. And one thing that we've done is well, I say we've, keep in mind, I'm not
Yeah,
really that involved, but the way that it's worked is that we developed a bit of a summer internship program that's worked.
got
And
it.
so we have returning students year after year after year. And that group has probably grown to 20, 30 people. And there's a start and an end to their employment. And it's very clear that we have that seasonal staff. So that is a large part of that growth where, May 1st they start, September 1st they're done. And we've got 4 months of insane productivity. Uh, and then, yeah, some people do have to be laid off for the winter, and
Well,
that's part of it.
it, dude, it's what I think is really useful about what you just said is basically you're like, we don't fix seasonality.
No,
What we've
not at all.
done is we've built our business to deal with that, which is we have to build essentially a program of how do we ramp up? How do we lay off? Who do we recruit? How do we train them? Like you've got systems around the ramp off and the layoff. Like that's the answer because
Yeah,
you're never gonna flatten that out because to flatten it would also mean you got to turn a bunch of work down in the summer, which you don't want to do because that's when it's easiest.
exactly.
Yeah, really good, man. And that's just a principle across business is like you got to solve your problems. The way you solve problems is you build systems to solve those problems. And that probably wasn't something you got dialed in, oh, it's 2019, let's solve that. It's like that's been an iterative process over time where now it's like just part of your, annual cycle. Is that fair to say?
Totally. Honestly, it's always being improved. Like we're not at the end, I
Yeah.
don't think at that, but I think that's where the hybrid system can be really beneficial is that you can ramp up really, really fast at the start of the season and kind of take over. Like those little shoulder seasons are difficult, no matter
Mhm.
how you do it. And so that realization is real that could help that transition more. So it's always an iterative process,
Yeah.
and not something that I think any of us have solved. It's
Yeah.
we want to do as much as we can this summer. Demand is high, and supply of labor is a little bit lower. So
Well, and I imagine you have the same experience as I do. Is the more problems we solve and the better we get, the more inadequate we feel.
mhm. Yeah,
There's even
yeah,
more things I see to improve. Like there's not a part of our business where it's like, yep, we got that dialed. It's like, man, we could be so much better with
absolutely.
every single part of the business,
Yeah,
you know, which is great. It's
mhm.
just more opportunity.
Work is never done, man. It's always room for improvement.
So, all right. So let's move forward a little bit. So one of the things I share with you before we got on that I have said before is I don't, and it was the case for me. The painting business isn't necessarily the end game. I think some people look at it and it's like, well, I don't want to run a painting business forever. I'm like, well, who says it's forever? It is a really great business to be a first business. You can build a really healthy company, make great money, live a great lifestyle, and create a business that can give you freedom. And then from there, you can do a lot of different things. And so, did you make that transition into starting and building Paint Scout?
So it was the point where I sucked at selling. I sucked at pricing. Um, and in kind of talking to a lot of people in the industry, that's just something everyone accepted as being hard. It's like, oh, this is just hard. You just deal with it. And it's like, well, how do you price something? And you'd be at the paint store and there's like grizzly covered in paint dude that would always emerge and just be like $3 a square foot. And you're like,
Yeah,
where did you come from? And that doesn't make any sense. Three
it doesn't.
dollars of what? And then you talk to someone else and it's like, it's by the day. And you're like, but what's a day? Like, what can someone get done in a day? And it was this problem that just really stuck with me because we couldn't grow. Like we couldn't actually be an effective company, deliver estimates quickly. Like the estimate turnaround was probably 2 hours of time, let alone like days of actually, scheduling it into your schedule. So I just saw it as a problem for what we were doing and I wanted to try to change it. My experience, like my passion is actually in it's in design, user interface
Yeah,
design. As boring as that is, I just sit around, loving to analyze things. And my business partner in Paint Scout is technical, so I had like a deeper understanding of the problems that we face trying to price this stuff, and I had some real like hands-on experience being able to design a solution to that problem. So yeah, I mean, it was anyone who thinks that getting into a software business is just easy is like completely misled.
Yeah.
Stop reading the news. It's it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to build something quality. And so
Yeah.
we started that kind of mission in 2017. So a few
That's
years into
phenomenal.
it, yeah, and kind of launched our first iteration of it in 2018. And from there have just slowly tweaked and built and been methodical about how we build the product because uh, you know we really care about that user experience. We care about how it works and ultimately want to build something great for our users and the people that trust us. So it's really
Yeah,
cool.
and that's something I told you before, but I wanted to bring it up in this conversation because I think there's a lot of really useful parallels for really any business. But in this case, we'll tie it into painting contractors. But the way the way that I've watched you guys build Paint Scout has, like, I can just tell it's been really methodical and slow, but not in a bad way. Slow in a very thoughtful, intentional, we're not going to get over our skis way, which is not easy to do because
No,
I mean, I know you're starting to build out a CRM on the back end of all of it right now. Is that right?
that's correct. Yeah, yeah,
And
really
I
excited about
imagine you've been like wanting to do that for like 3 years.
it. You know what? I have not. Strangely
Good for
enough.
you, man. I would want to, it's like, I just see so many things. I'm like, I mean, I feel like that would be such an easy place to go if you're in your shoes. So awesome. That hasn't been the
Yeah,
case. To just like do it really slow, really methodical and really right. And it shows, man. I mean, Paint Scout's what we recommend to everybody. We use
yeah.
it in
Thank
our
you.
portfolio. And I think it's clear that it's been a really great product. And I'm reminded of, I can't remember who said this, but it's out of Silicon Valley. But it's um, you sell because you can't market, and you market because you suck at product. You sell because you suck at marketing. You market because you suck at product. And I see, you've really taken that approach on like, dude, it's just product. It's just all product. And I don't see like loads of like marketing and selling from you. Maybe I just don't see it. But um, you built like a really, really good product. And so my question is, how do you view building a company, and how has that been expressed at Paint Scout in the way that you've thought about building that? And then we can tie it in for building a painting company.
Yeah. So we've we've had this discussion all the time about like the best written book or the best sold book. And at the end of the day, you don't make the New York Times bestseller without selling some books. And so we still think, we got to market, we got to sell.
Yep.
But the way you do that is really, um, it's core to the way I feel about marketing, which is that I want to find the right people at the right time. And I don't want to just yell at people and say, pick this now, pick it, pick it, pick it. I want to be there for when you're struggling at 3 a.m. trying to get a quote out and you're searching for a solution. And so it's strategic in that way where like we are the hope in the night a little bit because once you experience that pain, it's such a relief to have it be taken away. And so to your previous question, like, did I want to build a CRM? I wanted to build like a world-class sales tool for the painting industry. I think the saying that, my dad had growing up was, it's easier to do the work than get the work. And so I wanted to build a tool that allowed us to get work and it was profitable and consistently priced. And that really was what drove me. And then the saying of like every paint job starts with a sale is like, if we don't have a engine to bring into our painting business, there is no painting business. And so I was like laser focused on like best. I want to be able to price a job in 10 minutes. I want to be able to have that be consistent, build a sales team. And it only this was driven by customer demand. Our customers said, like, John, the product Paint Scout is awesome, but we're tethering on CRMs here,
Yep.
and it would just be so nice if it was together. And so after enough like requests and people talking to me, I was like, you know what, let's do
Flipped a
it.
coin.
I did not flip a coin on this one. I was like, we got to do something. And this industry, like, there's very few options. There's a lot of bolting together of software, a lot
Yep.
of Frankenstein systems.
Yep.
And I think that it's time for this industry to have something that can, you can build a business on and is tailored to what we do. And so the CRM that we're developing is very, purpose driven. We understand the needs of contractors. We understand what needs to happen. Is it going to do everything? Absolutely not. There's just better tools out there. And is it going to be the best in class for the paint industry in terms of organizing sales reps, organizing customers, and organizing jobs? We think we can do that. But am I going to be an email engine? Like, I say no today, but I'm sure if like 100 people email me, I might be like, oh, sure, fine, we'll do it. Um,
Begrudgingly. I'm
Begrudgingly.
begrudgingly building a CRM, not begrudgingly
Begrudging.
adding email, not begrudgingly adding
Yeah.
automation.
Like, fine, if you
Uh,
guys want me to, but is the further you go broad, the more chance you have of being weak.
yep.
And I just understand that so intuitively that I want to be focused, as like a parallel to the painting business. You can stretch yourself way too thin with the kind of services you offer. But if you
Yep.
could just be the best wall painter in the world, you would be just fine. And I think that exists in everything we do. So I want to be focused. I want to make sure we're doing great things. And yeah, the begrudging CRM that we're building
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
going to be fantastic.
It's
I'm
like,
really pumped.
no, I actually didn't want to. I'm actually building it begrudgingly.
Yeah. If I could give you the figure on this podcast, I would. No.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny, man.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, and the point I'll underline for painting contractors is like niche. There's value in building something really, really great. And I'll just, because I want to get to some other things. It's like you build one thing really, really well. You also learn how to build something really, really well.
Totally.
So when you go into the next thing, you know how to build that really, really well. And you can't build anything really well when you do too many things at once. So if you want to be everything to everybody, the way you have to sequence it with one really well done thing at a time. And I think for a lot of people, it takes patience. So how have you? It sounds like that's more. You use the word intuitive, more intuitive for you to stay focused and stay niche. But what advice? It's not normal. I mean, I don't know if you know that, but I was talked to a lot of people, and I feel
Yeah.
like what's way more common is rushing to do more. And so, what would you say to people who are doing that in their painting business, like feeling like I need to keep up? I see my competitors doing this. I see other people doing this. Like, how do you think about that? And what would you say to people who are feeling that urge to move to the next thing too quickly?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been perfect at this. This has been a lot of discipline to be focused
Yeah.
because, while we're focused on the sales piece of Paint Scout being excellent, I also started another software business,
Well,
which,
obviously.
yeah. And so, but now we were like, we got to stay focused. So we've actually kind of shut that one down because
Okay.
it's not helpful. But I'm not perfect. But the one thing that does really help is whenever I see something that I think, stirs an emotion in me, I like to tell myself, don't believe what you hear. And I think that there's a lot of people out there using words, saying things that make you feel like you're inadequate, but the reality is not what it appears. And the only thing you know is your own reality. And so setting goals for yourself that you feel like are attainable. And I'm going to be honest, 10xing things in the painting business, 10xing things in a software business. I don't know. It sounds like a unicorn sometimes. I feel like to use what your point, like, you had 100% growth. I think 20, 30% growth is healthy. And so if we're pushing ourselves too hard, you can break the whole systems. You can, cause too much pressure on yourself. and that sometimes isn't healthy, I think.
Yep.
So just reminding again, just like to recap that, like nobody's really doing everything they're saying they're doing, or at least it's hard to find someone who's totally transparent that way because they want to present the best version of themselves. And just setting realistic goals for yourself that you're happy with, I think matters.
Yeah, or you're missing the whole picture, where
Yeah,
you see the crazy growth, but you didn't see the 5 years of staging that to happen. And you
totally.
know, awesome, man. So, wanted to talk about, is there anything else that you want to touch on with regard to how you've built Paint Scout and any really valuable lessons you've learned there that would be valuable to share with all the people running painting companies listening?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because the way we've done things at Paint Scout is not the sexy way. We've done it iteratively, building trust, uh, being a part of the industry, and realizing that you know sometimes it takes 20 years of work to become an overnight success. And I think that that's been a real key driver for us is that we just want to do the right thing every time. And sometimes that means it's not as sexy as you want it to be. Um, the other thing there too, though, is that there is a team behind Paint Scout, and some people maybe don't realize that with software. I think when I deal with software companies, sometimes it feels faceless. It feels um, just like whatever, just a product. I'm sure it exists with one dude using AI, and it's probably pretty easy. And it's been very systematic here at Paint Scout how we built that team. The team's, we're getting close to 25 people on staff to support the community, and that takes a lot of purposeful thinking about the team and about trusting people, but also verifying their work. And I think that in all of our businesses, like you said before, people is what matters, and having the right people, whether it's a sub or trusted crew or just people in your team, you want to be able to trust them and know that they're pulling on the same rope you are. So I think people has been a big learning curve for me, and one that I'm really I always like to try to help inspire people that you can find good people and build good teams, but it's not going to be overnight. And so just be aware of that.
Building great things takes time.
Takes time. Absolutely. Yeah, you think that's helpful for people, Eric? I don't know. Is there anything else there?
No, I think it's all good. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff there. It's what do you want to hear? What do you want to hear, and what are you listening for?
Right. True.
It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I think a lot of people need to be continue to be reminded of how things take time, and I'm of a similar belief that just what's going to win is doing really great work, and
Hmm.
doing really great work always takes longer than you think it will. And so therefore you often feel like you're not moving fast enough. And then the pull is to try to speed it up, but speeding it up means you're not doing as good a work. And so,
Right. Right.
it's like you want to build something great, then everything you have to build has to be great. And it's just going to take time, but it's the best path. There was
Yeah.
a guy, I don't know if you know Ryan Levesque. I think he's the one I heard this from, but he said the fastest path is a straight line through the long cut.
Mm.
And
Yeah. So true.
it stuck with me because it's
Yeah.
like, I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
I've had about 15 years of trying to take shortcuts.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the shortcuts don't look like shortcuts. Look like really good
No.
ideas.
Right. Right.
It takes time to really learn what it means to like go slow and do things really impeccably. And it's your point. I think it takes a lot of discipline, a lot of paying attention, a lot of focus, a lot of patience.
Hmm.
And a lot of like what I hear is you're keeping, uh, you're staying very clear on what's the most important thing we're doing here, and it's to build something great, not to chase revenue or to compare. And you're doing a good job staying focused, and keeping your priorities straight.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And like I said before we got on the call, like coming from you, that means a lot. And that's a hard thing to identify. I think like when that's happening or when people are making those decisions, it takes a real keen eye to see it. So I really appreciate that, Eric. And I hope we can keep doing that, just keep slowing it down and
Well, it
being,
definitely gets easier, because after
yeah,
years of doing it, you have pride in your work and you start to see the fruits of it. And you don't always see that at the beginning, which is what makes it hard. But
Right.
like, I wouldn't do it any other way now, now that I've been doing it that way. And it's a net positive across the board. Like, the thing the thing I have to give up is, I think you said, like, what stirs up my emotions, I just got to keep setting that aside. But,
Yeah.
it's a better experience. I build something I'm proud of. I build something that's great. I sleep well at
Yeah.
night, and it pays off.
For sure.
Great,
Yeah. And
great things are rare.
it's funny when you kind of start to realize that in life. And then you think like, was the iPhone built overnight? I'm sure that was like a 10-year project. Like it was so long. And it's a lot of risk and it's a lot of believing you're doing the right thing. But, committing to that really, really helps, and taking those steps along the way to get that reaffirmation of, hey, this is good. And, um, I can do this and it's going to have a great result. So, yeah.
Yeah. One thing, just to put a period on this conversation,
Yeah.
we'll move on to one last thing. For anybody who's listening, I think it's like, you can hear this as permission to just do things right and realize that it'll feel like it's slow, but things feel slow, but then all of a sudden 3 years passes and you look back and it like whizzed by, so it feels slow in the moment, but it's not slow, which is a weird paradox.
Yeah. What is, someone told me the other day, saying it was like, smooth, slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Yep.
And, yeah, that's kind of resonated with me a little bit. To be like, yeah, you know what? It's got to be, slow it down, take it easy. And then 3 years, like you said, passes pretty quickly.
Yep. All right. Last thing I wanted to touch on, which is pretty unique about what you're doing. So, you built your business, your painting company is 7.5 million. You use that platform. Sounds like you've got a good leadership team and a lot of people supporting that business now where you're not as involved, which is awesome to get to that point. You mentioned to me that you're considering or working on moving on from the painting business. So, what's fueled that? I don't know. Is that a decision you've made at this point? Like, you are planning on exiting the painting business, or is it something you're noodling on?
Yeah, it's something that, it's all about focus, and
Yep.
it's impossible to be in two places at one time, like as much as I'd like to be. So it's also has to do with like just the separation, and I think that's a good thing at some point. The management team is fine with what they're doing, and I need to be able to serve lots of painting contractors, and that just requires a different mindset daily
Yep.
than what we're doing there. So yeah, it's been several years in the making, and I'm not involved day to day at all. Um, I wonder what the next phase is going to be, and how to do that healthily, for the team.
How are you thinking about that? How are you thinking about exiting that business? Because there's a lot of different ways to kind of go about that. Like, how are you thinking about moving on from the painting company?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm kind of in the process right now of looking at all those options, and it's what I lean to most is trying to have the team here take it over.
Yeah.
Uh, they've they've done a great job, and they're very capable, and they want it, and that's the kind of the first option. I mean, you can go sell it to someone else, but I think at the end of the day, when you build something, it just feels like handing over your baby to
Yeah.
someone and being like, good luck, and then you don't know. So I like the idea of trying to keep it with the people who already love it, and find a way for them to, you know, take that over gradually.
I haven't, I wouldn't say that I've got answers to that. But, could share some things offline with you on
Yeah,
like how I've gone through that with some companies.
love to.
Um, not like I did it the best way, but just to give you some ideas, which you're
Yeah,
probably already thinking about them, but just how do you do that? Because that was my view too. Like, I don't, and that's my view with my current companies. Like, I love what I'm building. I'm proud of what I'm building. The last thing I want to do is sell it to someone who's going to rip the soul out of it to increase profits.
yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah.
awesome.
So yeah, let's have that chat. But that's for the next phase, and I think, um, yeah, it's just kind of a healthy move.
Yeah. I mean, that made a huge difference for me. I was running three things, and the more I narrowed, like, the faster things go, the more enjoyable it is, the more I can pour into it, the better I can make things.
Yeah,
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground here. Is there any parting words you'd have to someone who's, I think most of the people listening to this are pretty early stage in their painting business. Of course, there's some
Yeah.
people who are starting to grow, but any last words you'd leave with people who are uh, in the early years of building something and have big ambitions?
It's funny. The one saying that comes to mind, and it kind of, whenever I come to decision points, it sticks in my mind is just give her. Just try. See how you get, see where you can get to, and see what life brings you, because you won't know without trying. And I think if you're early stage, stay the course. You'll only learn more the more doors you open. That'd be my.
That's great, man. You know what I think I need to get you? Do you have like one specific coin that you flip, or is it just whatever coin you find? Because I think we need to get you like this is the coin. This is the
The John
magical
John
coin.
Bryant coin. I have so many coins on my desk right now, and I told someone that story about the coin recently. Like, you must have saved the coin. And I was like, it wasn't about the coin. Like, why would I save the coin? Like, you're an idiot. That was a great coin. You're right,
That's
probably.
awesome.
So,
That's awesome, man.
yeah.
Well, listen, I'll just reiterate. I think what you've built with your painting company is awesome. I mean
Thanks.
that alone is a huge triumph. Not just the revenue, but it's the fact that you've built it in a way that you've got a great team of people who are running it. And I love how many. What I appreciate, man, is how many times the word love was said on the podcast.
Yeah.
Like we want to bring love and joy to business, and that definitely comes through of how much you care about people, how much you care about what you're building, you care about your team, and I think that's a huge source of success, for people. So really acknowledge you for that, and just for the approach you've had to building companies. Like I said, we haven't talked a lot. We've met really briefly, but I can just tell from the outside and respect the way that you have built your companies and will continue to. And what's wild is like you're just getting started.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's early, man.
That's a, that's a great way to end the podcast.
Yeah.
You're
Cool.
just getting started. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate all the kind words and for having
Yeah.
me on. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Peace. Hey guys, if you're enjoying the show, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a quick review for the podcast and what you gotten out of it. It helps our show reach more people and inspire more people. Thank you so much.